Very good morning to everyone. Hope you all are well and good. The topic that we are going to discuss today is Earth as a home for mankind and the condition that exists here. Once again, I repeat the topic Earth as a home for mankind and the condition that exists here from the chapter Earth as a planet. So, today we will learn what are the conditions that supports life on Earth. Before we move on to the today's topic, let us revise what we have discussed in the previous class from the chapter Earth as a planet. So in previous class we have already discussed about the topic Earth as a unique planet. Earth as a unique planet. So in this topic we have discussed why Earth is known as unique planet, or why it is the only planet which is known as harbor to life. Then what is the position of the Earth? Where does our Earth lies? So this were the topic that we have discussed. Second, we have discussed about rims of the Earth, the condition that supports life, or you can also say what are the presence of what, or the components of the biosphere. So what are the components of biosphere that we have already discussed? Atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere. Number third, we have discussed shape and size of the Earth. Shape and size of the Earth. Shape and size of the Earth. So our Earth is the fifth largest planet, and the shape of the Earth is oblate spheroid, which means flattened at the top and bulging at the equator. Fourth topic that we have discussed, proofs of Earth sphere. So what are the proof? We have already discussed about the proof of the Earth sphere. So some of the evidences we have discussed here which prove the shape of the Earth is spherical, like sunrise and sunset, horizon is circular. Fourth, aerial photography, lunar eclipse. So these were the topic that we have discussed. Now today we are going to discuss the fifth topic, that is Earth as a home for mankind and the condition that exists here. So let us go through it. As we all know, our Earth, it is the fifth largest planet in our solar system, and it is the third nearest planet to Sun. And our Earth, it is the only planet that supports life. That's why it is said as unique planet. Our Earth is said as unique planet because it supports life. Now let us go through the condition that supports life on Earth. So the first condition that supports life on Earth is distribution of land and water. As we all know, our Earth comprises of 29% of land and 71% of water. Our Earth comprises of 29% of land and 71% of water. So when we view our Earth from the space, it gives the color blue, or it looks blue. That's why we say our Earth as a blue planet. As we can see here, our Earth comprises of 29% of land and 71% of water. There is an uneven distribution of land and water. The land and water, the amount of land and water is not equally distributed. We have a huge amount of water and less amount of land. So when we see our globe, it gives us outstanding points concerning the distribution of land and water. So you can see here in the northern hemisphere, see this diagram. In the northern hemisphere, you can see here in this diagram, in the northern hemisphere we have a huge amount of land masses, and in the southern hemisphere we have a less amount of land masses. So our earth lies in a state of balance, which is known as, because of the antipodal arrangement, our earth lies in a state of balance. So what do you mean by antipodal arrangement? Antipodal arrangement. Antipodal arrangement means roughly arrangement of land and water on the globe. Antipodal arrangement means what? Antipodal arrangement means it is a roughly arrangement of land and water on the globe in such a way that land on the other side of the earth, land on the northern hemisphere of the earth is balanced by the water on the southern hemisphere of the earth. Land on the other side of the earth is balanced by the water on the opposite side of the earth. We can see here in the northern hemisphere we have huge amount of water. We can see here in the northern hemisphere we have huge amount of land, griddle of land masses, whereas in the southern hemisphere we have a very less amount of land masses. And when you see the water surface, in the northern hemisphere we have less amount of water, and here in the southern hemisphere we have a large amount of water. So this arrangement, it is known as antipodal arrangement. Because of the arrangement of land and water, the arrangement of land and water is in such a way that the land on the other side of the earth is balanced by the water on the other side of the earth. You can also see here, in the northern hemisphere we have, in the north pole we have Arctic Ocean, and in the south pole we have the Antarctic Ocean. So these are also arranged in such a way that they are equally balanced. So as you can see here, Antarctic land masses is spreading toward three protruding areas, one to the North America, one to the South Africa or Africa you can say, and one to the Australia. So because this arrangement of the land and water, it is known as antipodal arrangement, which make our earth in a state of balance. So distribution of land and water, it is one of the important condition that supports life on earth. Now let us move on to the second condition that supports life on earth is biosphere. Biosphere is one of the conditions that supports life on earth. And let us discuss the second condition that is essential for the existence of life on earth, that is biosphere, a home for mankind, or you can also say a sphere of life. So when I was teaching you about the rings of the earth, that time I have told you that when the three components or the three sphere, atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere, combine or interact, there is a formation of biosphere. Or you can also say the interaction of atmosphere, which is known as sphere of air, lithosphere, which is also known as sphere of rocks, and hydrosphere, which is also known as sphere of water. So when these three components combine together or interact together, there is a formation of biosphere, and this is a place where the living thing live. We live, animal live, plants live. So biosphere. The term biosphere was first used by Austrian geologist Edward. He defined biosphere as a sphere of living organism. So Edward, a geologist, Austrian geologist, who defined a biosphere as a sphere of living organism, or it is a biological process lying at the interface between the atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere. Or you can also say it is a biological process when there is an interaction of lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. Biosphere supply the essential requirement of life, which are the essential requirement of life are light. We need light. Then water, food, then energy. So these are the things which are provided to us, to the living thing by biosphere, and this makes a ecosystem, or you can also say biosphere or the ecosystem as it is called as an evolutionary system. So different kind of living thing evolve in biosphere. That's why it is also said as evolutionary system, or you can also say it is an ecosystem. What do you mean by ecosystem? Ecosystem, it is a biological community of interacting. Ecosystem, it is a biological community of interacting organism with the physical environment. That means when an organism, living organism, interact with the physical environment, then there is a formation of ecosystem. So, as I have said that biosphere provide all the essential conditions that are needed by the living thing to live in, like food, air, water and a habitat. So there is an interaction of environment and the living organism in biosphere. Similarly, in the ecosystem, it is a interaction of organism with the physical environment. So air, water, man and animals, plant, plantation, soil and bacteria are all invisibly interlinked in a life-sustaining system called environment. So it is therefore absolutely necessary to maintain a balance among the different cycle, the cycle of energy, or you can also say energy cycle, heat cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle and oxygen cycle. So let us go through it one by one. Solar energy or energy cycle. So solar energy, it is the energy that is received from the sun. So it is the most important to maintain an ecological balance. So solar energy is most important to maintain an ecological balance. The process by which the solar energy transforms to molecules is known as photochemical process. So the solar energy which is received by a plant is transformed into a molecules by a process called photochemical process. And the most important activity of the photochemical process in biosphere is photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a process by which a plant takes carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen. So the continuous process of giving out oxygen and taking in carbon dioxide with the help of solar energy, it is known as energy cycle. Now let us discuss about the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen, it is one of the important gas that occupy 78% of the Earth atmosphere. It occupy how much? 78% of the Earth atmosphere. And it is essential for the growth of a plant. Lack of nitrogen may destroy the crop production. So, nitrogen cycle, nitrogen it is absorbed. So, what do you mean by nitrogen cycle? Nitrogen cycle, it is a continuous process when plant absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere, and this plant is fed by the animals for their growth. And when this animal die, they decompose and release nitrogen in the form of ammonia. So in this way, the nitrogen cycle is maintained. So nitrogen is absorbed by the soil and the plant for their growth. Same way, animal feed on this plant for their growth, and when they die, it is released in the atmosphere. Nitrogen is released in the atmosphere by the decomposition of dead animals. So when this animal die, they decompose and this nitrogen is released in the atmosphere in the form of ammonia. Thus, the cycle of nitrogen is maintained. So in this way, the cycle of nitrogen is maintained. So now let us move on to the another topic, that is heat cycle. Heat cycle, it is the continuous process of incoming solar insolation and outgoing terrestrial radiation. So, heat is one of the prime requirement of life, and it is provided to us in the form of solar radiation by sun. So, the amount of heat received by the earth, or you can also say that the amount of heat given by the sun in the form of solar radiation is 100%. Out of this 100%, 45% reaches to ground. Only 45% reaches to ground, and remaining 55% it is reflected back to the space, and some percentage it is absorbed by the atmosphere. So out of 100 minus 45, how much we have? 55%. So where is this 55%? Out of this 100 unit, 40 unit it is reflected back to the space. So out of 100 unit, 40 unit during the time of incoming solar insolation, out of 100 unit or out of 100%, 40% is reflected back to the space. 40% is reflected back to the space. We have how much? 60%. Now out of remaining 60%, 15% is again it is absorbed by atmosphere. It is absorbed by atmosphere. So we have how much? 45%, and this 45% reaches to the ground. This 45% reaches to the ground. As a whole, Earth receives heat of 100% of the solar energy, and 45 reaches the ground. Out of 100, 45 reaches the ground, and 15 unit is absorbed by the atmosphere. 15 unit is absorbed by the atmosphere, and 40 unit is reflected back into the space. So the continuous process of incoming solar insolation and outgoing terrestrial radiation is known as the heat cycle. This was about the heat cycle. Now let us discuss about the water cycle. Water cycle, it is a continuous process when water, because of high amount of heat, it is changed into a vapor, and this vapor after reaching a certain level, again it cools down and fall down as a rainfall, and fall down as a rainfall. So the continuous process of changes of water because of the temperature and again falling down as a rainfall into the earth, it is known as water cycle. Now see here, water play a versatile role in functioning of the biosphere. It is one of the important components of biosphere. It is not only required by human being, it is required by both plant and animals. So the water cycle of the biosphere depends on the reciprocity of evaporation and precipitation. The water cycle fully depends on evaporation and precipitation. So as we all know, our earth consists of 71% of water. We have a huge amount of water on the earth. So during the daytime, because of the high insolation, the water evaporates. This water turn into a vapor because of the high amount of heat. So when this water turn into a vapor, it will reach to a certain level, and again it will cool down and turn into a cloud, and after formation of a cloud, it will fall down as a precipitation in the form of rainfall. So water cycle, it is one of the important components of biosphere. Now let us move on to the oxygen cycle. So oxygen, it is one of the important gas in the atmosphere that supports life. It occupies 21% of the earth atmosphere. So oxygen not only support life but also help in maintaining the ecological balance. Man inhale oxygen and gives out carbon dioxide. Man inhale oxygen and gives out carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is utilized by the plant. They inhale carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen. It helps in conservation of forest. So this cycle, and again These plant give us oxygen, take carbon dioxide. So the cycle, that's why we say oxygen play a very important role in maintaining a ecological balance. That means it is not only supporting the man on earth, it also support the plants on earth, as man exhaled carbon dioxide and that carbon dioxide is taken in by the plants and they give out oxygen and that oxygen is taken in by the human being. So that's why oxygen cycle is important to maintain an ecological balance. So this was about the biosphere. In biosphere, we have learned what do you mean by biosphere. It is also known as sphere of life, how it is formed, and we have also discussed about the ecosystem. Then we have discussed about the cycle, that is solar energy, or it is also known as energy cycle, nitrogen cycle. Then we have discussed about the heat cycle, water cycle, and oxygen cycle. So this was about the biosphere, one of the condition that supports life on earth. There are some more topic left we will discuss in the next class. Till then, stay home, stay safe, take care.